No. No, I think I was enormously lucky to have had so much experience in other fields. All experience is so good, but I think to have started, indeed, the most important part of my life in the theatre was Shakespeare and the classics in general. And I think that's the way to start with. When you can do, or attempt to do those, I think you can tackle the more difficult things, such as those you just mentioned. I think anything that you do in life demands a certain amount, not so much of training, but at least of observation. You see, when you're someone like Shakespeare or Sheridan or Chekhov has written something, you are pretty sure the writing is first class. And you cannot compare, naturally, any of those authors with the kind of films I've done. But because of the almost sheer impossibility of what Frankenstein does, or Van Helsing with Dracula, not so much Sherlock Holmes, because there again you had a pretty good writer, but the sheer impossibility of the things as the other two people do, you've got to know how at least to be very sincere and make it look as though it could happen. And without the experience beforehand of getting Shakespeare across and a classical, not exactly training, but the experience of playing in it, I think just helps enormously. It has me, and I think one's very lucky to have had the chance. Indeed, I think it must be one, if it doesn't sound boastful at all, but I think you must be sincere. I think sincerity in life and in your work is the most important thing. Must be sincere, oh yes. The only way to approach it. And if you don't believe it or can't believe it yourself, you're going to have great difficulty in getting your audience to believe it. Must. I always go in, whenever I've got one of these diabolical operations to do, I always go to my local doctor, and he's so glad when I ring up because he knows I'm not ill. He says, "Oh dear, how marvellous, yes, what do you want to do this time? Saw off a head or something?" And I say, "Yes," and he'll come along and show me exactly how to do it, and the right instruments to use and the right way to hold those instruments. So at least if only one doctor is in the audience, at least he won't squirm in his seat thinking, "Oh dear, he's used the wrong things, doing it all the wrong way." But I don't say that I could sit and watch an operation, because the very fact of it is a little awe-inspiring. And I think this is one reason why people like to see this type of film, because they know it's not really being done, but oh dear, isn't it awful? And the boyfriend can put his arm round and say, "It's all right, dear, it's only old Cush doing his usual." It's already happened. Because it was something I feared so much, that when it happened, nature didn't let it be a fear. See, I say that I was born in June 1942, but I wasn't. I was actually born in May 1913. But I was born in June 1942, and I died in January the 14th, 1971, at 9:02 in the morning. Those years in between were with my beloved wife. I suppose 4 years before the inevitable happened, I knew, but it just went in there and out there. I felt nothing. It had been on for so long, 4 years nearly, the illness of my beloved Helen, that I suppose it was nature's way of gradually getting one immune, not immune to it, but for that anesthetic period, as I call it. One felt nothing, and nothing happened. It was latterly, say 4 months after that event, that one was really hit, and has gone on being hit for the 2.5 years that have gone by since. Loss is the wrong word, but please go on. Because if we're given 70 and this isn't, see, what has happened to me is the worst thing could possibly happen to me. But when you look at it logically and just all around, terrible things happen every day to all sorts of people in every different kind of way. They're either born with some terrible impediment, either physically or mentally, or it happens to them, they go blind, or they become paralyzed. Now, if we are made into these sensitive, please don't think I'm talking to myself, but intelligent creatures, and you're given such a partnership as I had for 30 years, and I don't think I'm the only one, but I think I was unique in my luckiness to have met someone like Helen. that cannot be taken away from you, ever. Because otherwise, this is just speaking logically, without one's faith and belief in far deeper things. It just seems to me unfair, cruel, and a great mockery. There is and must be something else. We don't know. We can't see it, and therefore some of us can't believe it. I am absolutely convinced. I was very interested listening last week to, was it Dr. Sylvia Lack, talking about the lady in hospital was so frightened of dying because of her false teeth. Bless her. I think people could be helped so much if they would believe what has been told us all. You see, we swear by Almighty God to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So much in law is by Almighty God. And yet when it comes down to the basic of what has he told us, he's told us that after this life there is another one. I know it sounds cranky, but it's because it is so impossible to believe that this is one reason why it is true. It is to come. The best indeed is yet to come. This is purely kindergarten. And we have to go through it all with great happiness and great sadness, great pain and everything, to learn, to know which are the right things, you know. Not forget, my dear, but I must say, again, you see, it is more than luck and more than coincidence. The one thing I really needed desperately was to work, to keep the mind completely occupied. And here, I think, again, is one of those extraordinary things where one was helped. This business of mine goes up and down, as you know. Well, just when this happened, it was in one of its worst stages of down on the graph, way down. In the 12 months after January, I appeared in 9 films, not the leading part, mind you, but I was kept in constant work for a year. So much so that I had 2 days off and I felt unwanted because the contrast was so great. But I do all sorts of others, and it's so kind. I love being here talking to you. I hope I'm not being a bore, but it's lovely to talk, and especially about the only subject I'm really interested in, which is Helen, because whatever I am today, and whatever I've done, whatever I will do, and what I am as a person, is entirely due to her, completely due to her. And therefore, naturally, one likes to talk about that person. Oh, tremendously, my dear. I was really thrilled, and it really did happen over there. I was rung up at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, I think, because everyone, bless them, knew I was so busy, and I thought the only way to catch him was unawares, you see. And I was rung at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and the next morning I was in Paris, not only to collect 1 award, but 2. One for a performance of a little chap called Grimstrike in a film called Tales from the Crypt. I got a silver award for that, an Oscar, and I got a golden Oscar for my contribution to the film industry in general. Oh, it was a great thrill. The same as I won, it sounds awfully eager, but to me it's a tremendous thrill. I won 3 television awards in 3 consecutive years, and I've got them all. And dear, my beloved Helen, of course, kept them polished, and now my dear little Maisie, who looks after me, a little housekeeper, she polishes them so much, all the things are wearing off, who they're for, you know, and I said, be careful of that, because that's my name and date there. It just makes one feel very humble, and again, one tries to do better and better to deserve these things, and that I don't find easy. The more I do, the more difficult I find it, strangely enough. But a short answer to your question is, yes, I'm very proud indeed, and very grateful.